Now when we are talking about the ancient and medieval, 7 questions that were asked in 2025, roughly 4 plus questions in 2024, roughly 5 to 6 questions in 2023. So this is the trend. Believe me, it will be very easy now for you for those questions which can be solved based upon the book, which are the standard books, related sources. All these things will be covered in the quick revision documents related classes. And when we are referring to the quick revision documents in the class, we are trying to deal with the all previous years question which were asked on that particular topic. This document is covering in a thematic manner, so you can see that what things are being covered in the classes, like ancient India, then Mahajanpadas, then the Gupta and Harsha period, then the Mughals. Hello everyone, I'm Vishal Salsekar, and today we are going to talk about a very important subject from the perspective of UPSC Prelims, which is ancient and medieval history. So when we are talking about ancient and medieval history, and when we are preparing specifically from the prelims perspective, many of the students I have observed that they are not specifically preparing for this subject, considering that this subject is constituting a lot of things which is very much factually overloaded. And that mistake that we commit in this particular examination, when we are not covering anything from the perspective of ancient and medieval, then we tend to miss upon a lot of question. Because if you are trying to analyze the trend from last 3 to 4 years of examination, roughly on an average basis, 5 questions are being asked. Sometime it is like 4 from including the ancient and medieval history. Sometime like last to last year it was 5 question, and in 2025 the UPSC had asked 7 questions also. So when we are having 7 questions out of 100 that is asked from the ancient and medieval history, and the questions are also not that difficult. If you are having the idea regarding the basics, if you are having the thematic coverage, if you are having an idea regarding the chronology, then solving these particular questions becomes very easy for you. So generally, I have observed that many such issues that are being committed by the students when we are talking about the ancient and medieval history, these particular issues includes, first is that we are unable to deal with the thematic understanding. And when we are unable to prepare with the thematic understanding, then in that particular situation, the difficulty arises at us that we are not able to connect any specific historical aspects with whatever had happened later on and even in the present point of time. And along with that, when we are not talking about thematically, we are not able to relate between different ages and why specific thing had happened at any point of time. So all these things then jumbled up, and that creates a lot of confusion. So whether you talk about any specific ruler, whether you talk about the invention that is being done by any specific ruler, or maybe the socio-economic political system, if you are not having the thematic idea or the thematic understanding of the history, then it will be very difficult for you. Another issue that arises while preparation for the ancient and medieval is regarding the PYQ related analysis, and we are missing on the PYQ related analysis. We are not understanding how UPSC is asking the question. We tend to think that yes, it is a history subject, it is a subject which needs a lot of facts and data, and basically when we are not able to remember those particular years or the facts or maybe specific things or the nitty-gritties, then we tend to miss upon that thing also. And when we are missing on those things, we are not able to understand that what is happening thematically, that based upon certain other things, based upon the inferred knowledge also, we could have solved those particular question. Isliye the PYQ related analysis when we are not doing, and it's not about just reading the previous year's question, it is also understanding the theme and also acting upon that particular theme by comprehensively preparing that thing regarding the topic which is being asked. Another thing is that generally we tend to prepare the notes for the ancient and medieval, and along with that the prelims and the mains both are being covered simultaneously. But in the prelims, generally the UPSC is asking question, yes, that will be needing certain type of the fact, certain years, certain other things that might be asked. But in the mains related examination, it is basically the analysis of that particular historical event. So when we are preparing some broader notes, we tend to miss upon certain prominent factual aspects or prominent developments during that particular time period. Like in the context of the Chandragupta Dvitiya, there was Fahin. Right. So if when we are not trying to relate that individual with the court of the Chandragupta Dvitiya, and when we are not trying to talk about that what were the observations of Fahin in the context of the Chandragupta Dvitiya, then we are going to miss upon that. So we are unable to basically relate from mains notes or broader notes to understanding prelims. That is also one such thing. That is also the issue that the students are observing with respect to this particular preparation. And many of the students are not even covering this. So if there are 7 questions, and if you are not at all covering the ancient and medieval history, that means you are giving up on all the 7 questions, despite that just by referring to certain standard set of material, you could have solved at least 4 to 5 questions, and that are going to give you the advantage of roughly 7 to 8 marks in the examination. So not at all covering is also one such issue. Considering that there are certain subjects which might be giving us comparatively more weightage, जहाँ से questions ज़्यादा आते हैं, but when there are easy question asked from certain areas, don't you think so that the other people who are appearing simultaneously when you are appearing, those people are also able to solve those questions? But then this is going to be a decider. If you are not preparing for those particular subjects, जो subjects कहीं ना कहीं कुछ अलग बनाता है आपको from the other people, or at least bringing you at par with the others who are genuinely preparing for this particular examination, then in that particular case, we are missing up upon those and we are getting out of the competition. So this 7 to 8 marks, believe me, this is going to create a lot of difference, because here the difference is being created by the half marks or 1 marks. So that's why it is also very important thing. Apart from that, yes, when we are talking about, let's say, the factual thing, so there will be understanding that is needed. But apart from understanding, the revision, then practice, along with that, solving thematic questions. So all these things are also important, because when, let's say, if you have read about things and by the nature of that particular subject, there are certain facts. So we have to deal with that particular facts. But yes, we can ensure that by the thematic preparation, we can be preparing that particular facts in a better manner. And through the repeated revision and the practice, we will be also able to ingrain those things, and then eventually we will be able to answer those things. But when we are not at all preparing, we are missing upon all these things. So these are the general mistakes. इसके अलावा भी बहुत issues है, but right now we should be confining ourselves to these issues that generally an aspirant is facing with respect to the ancient and medieval history. Because once you are weak in that particular subject, don't you think so the art and culture questions are also you are going to compromise? Because if there are 6 to 7 questions from ancient and medieval and 4 to 5 questions from the art and culture, अगर आपका base ही strong नहीं है, how you are going to prepare for the art and culture question? Because they are also based upon the ancient medieval understanding. So basically, if you are missing upon these things, so in that particular case, there are very high chances कि आप either will not be able to utilize 6 to 7 questions, or maybe just doing the guesswork in the examination, and that will be costing you maybe the selection also. So these are the clear don'ts from the perspective of the UPSC examination for the ancient and medieval. Now, when we are talking about the ancient and medieval, roughly when we have seen that from the static part only, roughly 7 questions that were asked in 2025, roughly 4 plus questions in 2024, roughly 5 to 6 questions in 2023. So this is the trend. So you can assume that roughly 5 is the average. And if the 5 or 6 is the average, that means you can't skip those particular questions. That's why covering this particular subject is very, very important. Now, the problem comes, and another issue is that we do not have one single source jahan se it is like short, jahan par it is all the things from the perspective of the UPSC examination, these are being covered. So when we are having a lot of sources, whether it is NCRTs, kaun si NCRT padhe, whether we should read the Tamil Nadu book, so then in that particular case, keep any book as the base or the reference book, prefer the NCRTs, and then based upon NCRTs, there should be further value addition that has to be done, and that value addition is the quick revision material or the quick revision document, which is going to be a game changer. Because by having that particular material in roughly 4 to 5 classes for the ancient and medieval, you will be able to have the content for solving roughly 6 or 7 questions which are being asked. Maybe a chance that yes, for certain question, एक या दो questions के लिए कुछ inferred aspects हैं, but then directly or indirectly you should be able to solve those particular question if you have gone through the quick revision document. And when we are going to cover in the classes these quick revision documents, believe me, it will be very, very easy now for you for those questions which can be solved based upon the book, which are the standard books, related sources. All these things will be covered in the quick revision documents related classes, which is roughly 4 or 5. So within a span of roughly 12 to 15 hours, you will be able to solve those questions, 6 or 7. And you will be able to utilize it maximum manner में, like roughly 5 to 6 marks minimum and 10 to 12 marks maximum difference you can create in your marks. That's why it is going to be a very important thing, and you should be referring to this particular quick revision document related classes along with the material also. Now you might think why I am telling you this thing, because you can refer to this thing that in the 2025 also I have utilized the quick revision document snippets, and this revision material is not new. This was already there, and we are every year emphasizing upon this particular content. We are doing the value addition. So you can see this particular question asked regarding the Matta Vilasa, Vichitra Chitta and the Gunabhara related to which particular personality. It was clearly mentioned, explicitly talked about when we were talking about the Pallava dynasty. So there it was being talked about Mahendravarman I. Similarly, there was other question like Fahin we were talking about. Chandragupta II, you will be able to see the lines and the discussion regarding Fahin that is being done. It is very, very easy and very important fact. So see, for that you need not to do any type of rocket science. It is very easily mentioned, and if you have read this, so you could have solved easily. Otherwise, aap nahi padhte, to you would have compromised upon these 2 marks and like this 12 to 14 marks. Similarly, another question regarding the military campaign against the kingdom of Sri Vijaya. Again, you can see through the map only you can see the Sri Vijaya and the other region which are being asked in the question, like the Sumatra, Java neighborhood. You can see entire including the Malay Peninsula. This is the Malay Peninsula, the Sumatra, Java, Malay Peninsula, and all the way to the South China Sea. This is being done under whom? So this is from the Chola dynasty, and this map exactly is being put in the quick revision document. You can easily solve this question. Next question is regarding, there are territorial regions which are talking about the Mahajanpada period, and along with that the rivers that are flowing. There are rivers, there are maps, they are talking about the different Mahajanpada kingdom. The details along with that discussion is being done, and it can be easily solved by this. Next is regarding the inscription. Now see, these are the question where inference can be helpful. So it is talking about the Ashokan inscription, but there it is being talked about in the Gupta and the other time period mein, jahan par district administration and all is being mentioned. Now you can talk about like the kingdom is there, the provinces are there, or respective ke liye there are things are being mentioned. District mein there are no such thing were mentioned, because already the Pradeshika, Rajukas and the Yuktas were there, right? So you can talk about this, so you can relate it with the district level administration, right? Lastly, talking about the Aragatta. Now this was the question which was repeated itself. So in the 2016 UPSC had asked, that's why the previous year question analysis is also very important. And when we are referring to the quick revision documents in the class, we are trying to deal with the all previous year's question which were asked on that particular topic. So through that the thematic understanding is being covered. Through that you are able to see what type of previous year's question were asked on that particular topic. Now, having discussed about this particular thing, now another thing which I want to emphasize over here is the quick revision document, that how this particular document is covered, how this document looks like. So as I have emphasized upon that this document is covering in a thematic manner, so you can see that what things are being covered in the classes, like ancient India, then Mahajanpadas, then the Gupta and Harsha period, then the Mughals, Delhi Sultanate, important kingdoms of the north and the south India, right? Then there are like prehistoric time period, a lot of other things, what was the geographical setting and all. So basically, jo NCRT mein, the way NCRT had covered the factual thing, along with that all the important information, along with value addition, this is being covered in this comprehensive document of roughly 100 pages. But when it will be explained to you in the classes, it will be comparatively clear in your mind. The factual things, the geographical settings, the thematic understanding, the personalities, and all the important facts that will be clear to you, that we are going to make sure. Along with this, you can see that different memory के लिए different interpretations are also being done, different images are being utilized. Then you will be able to see the maps which are exactly mentioned in the UPSC. Like UPSC asked the question regarding map, directly those particular maps are being taken up, right? Along with this, the thematic understanding, timeline based understanding, these particular things are being covered, and you can see that those things are very helpful in order to ensure the coverage of this particular subject. Now, what I want to highlight over here is that there are like these type of tabular. This I was talking about in the context of the Mahajanpadas, the important facts about the Mahajanpadas which are being talked about, right? Then whenever needed, the maps are being there. And along with these particular maps, जिन personalities के नाम कुछ और भी नाम था, those things are also being talked about, right? So these are the things which were being covered. Coinage, a very important thing. UPSC asked about coinage. UPSC asked about the ports. UPSC asked about the important terms, details. UPSC had asked regarding the district administration. So whenever they are going to ask you about the things like the inscription, like the personality, like the ports, the maps are going to be helpful. Like these type of the memory and the visual appeals are going to be helpful. These are not just to create the visual appeal. It is to ensure that you observe these and you are able to identify, like the seals, like the important animals, like other type of traditions and the customs that are being mentioned. So these are there. You can see the maps, a very important utilization of the maps that is being done in this. And lastly, what I want to highlight over here is that you will be able to see when we are talking about the Mughal time period, in the Mughals also, and a lot of other places pe you are able to see these type of segregations. Administration mein kya kiya, society mein kya kiya, polity mein what happened, economy mein what happened. So all these particular things were also being covered over there. And lastly, regarding even the timeline, that what is the timeline, what is the chronology of the events regarding this, and you can see like the timelines point of view set is being provided, important battles are being compiled, the military conquest mate is being talked about, the contemporaries are being highlighted, right? So whatever the UPSC is asking from the perspective of the prelims examination, these things are being synthesized, the content has been taken up, and the content has been structured in such a manner that is going to help you from the examination perspective. Important wars, important events, important contemporaries, the type of administration, the analysis of that particular thing, which is also the factual one along with the interpretation one. So that thing is also being provided to you in order to highlight the important things, right? Administration में central administration कैसा था, provincial administration कैसा था, how the centralization was being done, how the decentralization was being done, what are the important positions and all, different departments that were being established. So the point simply here is that when we were highlighting regarding a lot of issues from the examination perspective, whether it is regarding the thematic understanding, whether it is related to the PYQ related analysis, whether it is related to plugging the gap between the prelims and mains, or it is not covering the subjects or revision, practice, and the sources, which is also very important aspects, right? So this source is going to help you and will ensure, if you have not read ancient and medieval from any of the sources, believe me, covering this is going to plug that particular gap to roughly 70 to 80% definitely, and this is going to help you in order to solve maximum question in the prelims. Agar difficult and out of the bound question aata, then that will be for all, believe me. So basic minimum whatever we have to keep the preparation with us, that preparation will be already been done when you are going to cover through the quick revision document. And for that, we are going to have the classes also. So you will by yourself observe that how we are going to cover these particular things in the classes is going to eventually help you the memorization also, the thematic understanding also, and along with that the PYQ analysis, right? So I hope I was able to explain you regarding what UPSC expects and what we are going to provide you through the QRM classes for the ancient and medieval. So I hope this thing is clear to you. We'll meet again, and we will meet in the ancient and medieval quick revision module classes. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.